We recently reported on fraudsters hacking tens of thousands of CRA accounts and stealing tens of millions from the public purse. It involved months of work, speaking to dozens of victims, reviewing hundreds of pages of documents, looking into bogus companies, and getting anonymous tips from a former criminal. So, let's dive in. This all began last year when I heard from multiple confidential sources connected to the CRA about widespread breaches to taxpayer accounts, like yours. Confidential means people give us information without us publishing their name. We're clear with our audience about why we're not naming them publicly, usually because there's some risk involved with them speaking out. Once we published that story, we started getting calls and emails from people across the country. One of those victims was a man in Kelowna. His CRA account had been hacked and fraudsters stole $30,000 in his name. The CRA was demanding that he, the victim, pay it back. He also happened to work in healthcare. We'll get to that later on. But we needed proof of what he was claiming. We call this corroboration. He shared his entire file with us, everything from screenshots of his CRA accounts to copies of the fake tax return filed in his name. Now, we learned that whoever stole his identity used this company in Edmonton to issue a fake T4 slip to get that tax refund. A simple Google search revealed it was headquarters to 3 bogus companies linked to the tax frauds. So we looked into all of those companies and found a second address. We did a land title search on that address. That's a paid service to find out who owns the property. And bingo, we got a name, Doug Poplet. So we looked him up on social media and learned that he and his wife, Christina Cherpak, had been living near Edmonton. Court searches revealed both of them had long criminal histories, including convictions for identity theft. And then we got a big break. The Kelowna victim got his hands on a bank statement for a prepaid credit card used by his imposters to claim that tax refund. It showed a list of transactions where that money had been spent. So we pounded the phones and called all the businesses where those transactions had been made. We were hoping one of those businesses would still have security camera footage of the imposters even a year later. We had no luck until we showed up at this Edmonton restaurant. The owner remembered what happened that day, and even better, she still had that security footage. That footage appeared to show Christina Cherpak looking straight at the camera and another unidentified accomplice in the background. So we now believe Cherpak and an accomplice had spent the money stolen from the CRA. That's your money, and they did it using the Kelowna victim's name. But why did they target him in the first place? In the bank statement, we found another name, Heidi Gurman. It turns out she had also been a victim of identity theft and a hacked CRA account. And here's where things get interesting. Like the Kelowna victim, Gurman lived in the interior region of BC, and she worked in healthcare. Now, that could have been a coincidence, but we suspected there was something way more to it. Back in March, the Fifth Estate aired an episode about CRA accounts getting hacked. Now, days later, we got an email from someone who said they knew how Heidi Gurman's identity was stolen. The email was from someone who called themselves anonymous and said they were a former criminal. We asked the tipster for more information, and they sent us a spreadsheet with the stolen information of 28,000 people, including Gurman. The tipster said the spreadsheet was from a data leak at BC's Interior Health Authority. A quick search of the spreadsheet located Heidi Gurman's name and the name of our Kelowna victim. Turns out, they both worked for the Interior Health Authority at one point. Our tipster told us that the information had been stolen in 2009 and later sold through the dark web to criminals. Now, we had no idea who Anonymous really was. As journalists, we have to be really careful with information we receive anonymously. We have to find a way to verify the information or we can't use it. So we got to work. We made phone calls, wrote emails, did online searches, and contacted dozens of people on that list. They were all current or former employees of Interior Health. And we began documenting dozens and dozens of nurses and medical workers who'd had their identities stolen, including more than 20 who had their CRA accounts hacked. And there are no doubt hundreds, if not thousands more out there we haven't heard from. And it took nearly 8 months before we were able to publish our follow-up story. And since then, more victims have been coming forward every week from Interior Health to tell us their stories. We still have lots of questions about what government authorities knew about this breach and why they failed to act. This is one of those stories that keeps developing as we uncover more details, and we'll keep you up to date as we learn more. Now, if you believe you've been a victim of tax fraud or stolen identity, we want to hear from you at fifthtips@cbc.ca.